Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, people. How's everybody doing? Let the distribution happen. What's up, Adam? Got some time here. Got some time here to hang out with y'all for a little bit. Yo, what's up, Jeffrey? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Figured we'd come on and do some chit-chat. Yeah, I seen that too. North Carolina doing their own thing now, apparently. That's good. The more states that do it, the better, in my opinion. Man, 54, you guys. All right, so got a few things I wanted to talk with you guys about. Got a bunch of shit going on. When it comes to street legal stuff, like, if you guys got questions about street legaling your side-by-side or whatever, you know, every state's going to be different. And I don't mean that as your vehicle's going to be legal in certain states and not in others. I mean, it's really going to be determined on where you live. So, like, if you're a resident of a certain state, then you might get the short end of the stick. Like, if you're a resident of California, you're probably not going to be able to legally obtain a South Dakota registration. Like, I'm not sure how many different loopholes you can come up with to try and make that work. But I did get off the phone with some people from California, and I talked to them yesterday about what it would be like if I was to drive my Razor. And I spoke with one gentleman from the Highway Patrol, and we ended up getting into the point to where he was like, well, that's classified an off-highway vehicle. And I'm like, well, you really can't do that because it's classified as a motorcycle according to the registration. If an officer was able to make the determination of what it should be registered as every single time he pulled somebody over, there would be no reason for us to even have a registration classification in the first place, right? I got onto the DMV website while I was on the phone with him, and he was talking about how California does have reciprocity with other states, and basically they call it a grace period. If you go into California, you have a grace period to where you are not subject to California registration laws unless you gain employment or buy a fucking house or something like that. Basically, once you do that, you kind of kill yourself. But you have 20 days. That's your grace period, is 20 days. So once we got, I talked to two different officers. The first guy was like, man, I agree with you. Like, I can't really argue all those points. And he says, I'm going to get you in touch with a different guy who works in, like, the inspection department or something. So I had a Sergeant Flores from El Centro State Highway Patrol. He called me, and we talked for, like, I want to say like 20 minutes or so. And he agreed. We got to, I mean, he was resistant at first. They're all resistant. But once I started, like, letting him know, I said, you know, California acknowledges out-of-state registration on their vehicles, right? And he's like, yeah, well, that's just vehicles. That's not, you know, off-highway vehicles. I'm like, when they say the word vehicles, they're talking about trucks. They're talking about sport utility vehicles. They're talking about recreational vehicles. There's a lot of different things they're talking about. They're not going to name each and every single one. Well, if we're being all completely honest here, you know, motorcycles is included in that. So if I provide you a motorcycle registration, then, you know, I fall in that too, right? So that's what happened yesterday when we talked on the phone. I really don't have any plan to go to California anytime soon, so it really doesn't chap my ass too much that I've got a little resistance. Most of the time when I call places ahead, it's pretty easy to make believers out of people. So when it comes to upcoming trips, I really would like to go back and explore around Minnesota and get a group of guys together. I don't care where the hell you're from. I just care that you have like a decently maintained machine. You go over your machine before you start the trip, because I don't want to freaking drag your ass all the way back. And I want to go, and I want to like pick out all of the best state parks in Minnesota, and then we're gonna start probably in the northeastern tip up in Grand Portage by like where I live, or where my dad lives. We'd probably start there. That's the best place we could park, and I would know that all of my buddies' vehicles were, accounted for and checked on and looked after and stuff like that. But it would be awesome. I mean, I'm looking at like at least 1,000 miles, probably a 5 to 7 day trip, to where basically we take and we hit as many parks as we can in a day, stopping for lunch and stuff like that. Make it super leisurely and casual. Like, any of you old timers want to come out there, that's fine. I want it to be as mellow and chill as possible. Probably won't be doing a whole lot of thrashing. You got to rely on your machine to get from A to B. Let's see. The Turbo S. The Turbo S has been up at Jones Power Sports. After we got back from Las Vegas, we topped 10,000 miles, right? So I had to get my wheel. I was like, man, my wheel bearing's got to be getting toasted. And I had the one that was failing on the way home through Flagstaff. So luckily, I don't know how they managed, but the warranty covered all 4 of my wheel bearings. And then we were looking at the input shaft on the front diff, and I still don't understand why the bearing failed in the first place, but there was a little bit of play on the input shaft going into the front diff. So we decided to pull it out, give it an inspection, and there was a little bit of wear on the pinion gear. Like all the little teeth kind of had like a little groove in them, and then there was a little marking on the case. So warranty went ahead and replaced that. So we got the new updated front diff, which has like the bigger pinion gear bearing and shit like that in it. So I think it's the Pro XP diff or whatever. So we got that. I went ahead, I ordered all new bearings, and we'll just be good to go now. So my XP1000 race buggy, rocket ship. Whew, that's what I'm calling it from now on. Damn rocket ship. What's going on, Jamie? How you doing? Randy, what's up, man? Preston, how you doing? Just got on. Let me know next date time on your next trip. So yeah, right now, like logistics stuff, I haven't really like worked all that stuff out. I'd like to get with a group of guys that are from Minnesota that might have halfway of an idea of like a good route to take that would be, fun and whatnot. I would like to go and explore like a lot of I want to go up the Gunflint Trail and stuff and go check out like, the big lakes up there. There's fucking so many lakes in that state. So, but when I get an actual for sure date, I'm going to start posting that up. I just want to make sure that there's going to be a few people that want to go. Hello, how do you invite people to follow you? Okay, so if you go to the A1UTV page and then you go to, I believe it's community. There's a community tab. It'll say like home, about, post, video, such and such, about, blah, blah, blah. If you click on the community tab, it should be like an invite friends or something thing in there. Are you going to Rednecks with Paychecks? It's really up in the air, man. I don't know. That's not really my crowd. I'm not a big drinker. Like I have some beers every now and then, but I'm not a big drinker. I might go, but it's super difficult because if I go to, if I go to Rednecks with Paychecks, there's going to be 50 other fucking content creators there, and we're all going to be filming the same shit. You know what I mean? And when it comes to actually like riding around the park, I don't think we're going to have, there's not much riding to really be had there. You're so sexy. You're so sexy. What's up, Stein? April 24th, 25th, 2021. That's so far away, Roll. That's so long from now. You need to make it like a weekly thing. If you did the little races that you did like every week, if you can get more people doing that like casual fucking racing, because like people get so intimidated by the series events and stuff like that, and they get so worked up about having to come out all year long and devote all this time and money into racing. If you could do something like you did the weekend I came out and actually just keep doing that and getting more people to come out there, it's a little bit of a fucking drive, but that was fun, man. I had a blast. I think that would be a good thing to do. Putting markers on the inside of the corners, since it's so dusty, you know, if there was like little markers on the inside of the corners, then it's a lot even more fun to do night racing. You know, I think that was probably the only little complaints that I had. And then the more people that you do get out there, you're gonna have, you'd be blown away, because word travels fast. Not very much riding there, but it is cool to see. I've yet to meet you in person. Well, damn it. We'll see what we can handle. When's the next race? So I haven't figured out when the next like race is. There's not like no series stuff going on right now. Come race torn at the end of this month. So first things first, if I'm gonna be doing like any legit like racing like that, which I fully plan on doing, I'm gonna need to have my cage built. So I'm gonna have to build a cage first. I want to get like a Hans or a Summit like a neck device, one of those hybrid devices for my neck, so that way, you know, I'm a little bit safer. I've got to get the window nets. The buggy's ready. That thing's ready to go. I've got it sitting down now, and it's like, I just want to go out and race again. So I've been waiting. I was excited when when you posted that thing up the other day. I was excited because I was figuring, I was like, maybe it'll be more like a mud race for like UTVs. Like if that track was muddy and you did like a UTV race, like even if it was like a time trial, like or something, just to kind of avoid accidents or whatever, that would be fun. All right, what do we got going on? Hell, we could be a team? What do you mean we could be a team? Oh, John, I got you. I'm taking that. How do I like this comment? Yes. John, I want that. I will take yours. We can mud race with each other. Gary, wouldn't that be badass? I think we should do that. Like maybe like 4 machines on the track, mud race, tractor tires. Race teams have multiple racers. What program do you use to edit GoPro content? I use one program to edit all my content. It depends on what type of, like, are you talking about like 360 footage, or are you talking about just making videos in general? It's the carbon fiber one. Oh, John, you're so great, John. Dude, John, did you notice that I used I used a picture of you as my thumbnail for my video? Yeah, got your arm up like, no, you're doing this. Seen it. I'll just run my Liberty tires. Dude, I'm down. Sliding in the corners. I'll just run my Hoosiers, man. I'll just skim across the top. I'll just leave smooth grooves all the way through the course. Maybe that's what we should do. We should do mud racing with the hard pack tires. With the Hero 8 Black. So all of my footage is edited right right in the computer using Power Director. Power Director 365. What up from the old Nova Scotia, Canada? Canada, eh? Dude, what's up, David? I didn't realize we got all the way up there to dang old Nova Scotia. Straight chilling. Man, dude, John, I was super pissed. I wanted to come meet up with you guys. And I don't know what the hell happened right after that part. I'll just stop and let you slide across. And then just drive off while he's stuck in the fluff. See? Oh, dude, Gary. So my when I did my turbo like transmission swap and all that stuff on my Razor, the bash plate underneath the transmission was pushed up so far I couldn't even get the transmission and everything bolted together. I finally got it pushed down enough to where I could get the transmission and engine bolted together. So for like the past 2 days, I've spent using my damn tall ass jack and a freaking thick ass cable, and I've been running it up through the little holes of the bash plate, pulling that freaking bash plate down. It's so mangled. It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess. I need to have it cut off. Ashley, I sent out 26 invites. I know it's not a lot, but everyone I have with buggies, what we call them in Indiana. Hey, Lacey, I love you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, my dad's plate it's bent up pretty good. Yeah, they make a weld-on plate, but here's my thing. If you hit the weld-on plate and it bends up, are you going to be able to bend it back down? I just used a cable on mine. I took just a thin freaking wire steel cable, and I ran it up in there and made it work. It actually did pretty good. I should have made a video on it. Probably would have made millions. Not really, but what else do we got going on? We already did street legal shit. Okay, hey, if any of you guys want to know about street legal shit, just type a 1 in the chat or something like that. If you're curious about street legal stuff and kind of how it works, I'll give you a general little rundown of kind of how it works. Another thing is, if you hear anybody talking about I don't even know if I can just, it doesn't matter, don't worry about it. Oh, I got one. Don't pay nobody to do out-of-state registration for you. That's for damn sure. Justin, Cody, gotcha. Russell, Colby. Okay, that works. All right, shut up, Ashley. You don't need to know about it. Okay, so here we go. The way it works, South Dakota is what you call an open registration state. Basically, what that means is that you are not required to be a resident of that state. How are the L&W fab parts holding up? Yeah, they're holding up just fine. Holding up just fine. We were discussing about possibly doing some L&W A-arms and some trailing arms and stuff, and I was gonna outdo the whole machine in L&W for the bounty course, the old rocket ship machine, but we just never really got there. Okay, so South Dakota is an open registration state. Basically, you don't need to be a resident there in order to register your machine there. South Dakota has they've been doing this for years, over a decade, almost 2 decades. I think even back into the 90s, when you had off-road motorcycles and stuff that would try to get registered. The way they would do that is by way of South Dakota. South Dakota takes your off-highway vehicle, your off-road motorcycle, your ATV, your OTV, your OHV, your SUV, your MTV, all that stuff, and it turns it into an on-road motorcycle. So basically, if I send you all this information, it's going to have a couple links in there, and there's going to be 3 pieces of paper. One of them is going to be your title transfer, I believe. The second one is your registration paperwork, which you're going to find at any DMV when you go to register your vehicle in any state. And then the third one is the ATV affidavit. This is the important one. What if we already have a title that says UTV? It doesn't matter what the title says. The title's going to be transferred to South Dakota anyways, and all that stuff's going to be, it's not going to be on there. One thing to keep in mind is once you transfer it to South Dakota, don't try and be some fucking slick Rick and transfer it back into your home state, because you can get in trouble for that shit just simply because you're, when you register it as a motorcycle, it's allowed to be registered as a motorcycle in South Dakota. You can't transfer it as a motorcycle to another state. You might run into issues with that. So once you fill out these 3 pieces of paper, the ATV affidavit is really the important one. That one's going to require that you have at least 200 cc's. It's going to require they have brake lights. It's going to require that you have a horn, an illuminated license plate, 1 rear view mirror, and I want to say I think that's it. Once you have those things, then you have to get that document notarized and signed. Oh, dude, Clint, absolutely. I've been thinking about going to Crossbar here soon. So you send in those 3 pieces of paper with your title. Me, I had my title. I wrote a check for my machine. So I had my title. I don't know what you would have to go through if you were getting it from the bank or whatever. I think there's like a form you have to call and get from your bank or something like that. If you call the number on the information that I send you, the people at the DMV will be able to help you, or the Treasury Department will be able to help you. What about blinkers? Blinkers are actually not required for a South Dakota motorcycle registration. You don't even have to have a windshield. And the reason why I recommend to use blinkers, I have them. I recommend them simply because the one time you forget to stick your damn hand out the window or do a hand signal, it's going to give a cop the ability to pull you over. One thing is, if a cop doesn't have a reason to pull you over, he can't pull you over. He can look at you, he can look at your machine and be like, hey, that's an OHV. But if he runs the plate and it shows up as a motorcycle, now he's going to have to start making decisions. So, he's going to have to say, okay, well, if I pull this guy over, I have to have a fucking legit reason as to why I pulled him over. If he finds out that my damn registration was completely legal and legit, he's really not going to have anything. He could say, well, OHVs aren't allowed on the road. Well, it's not registered in this state, so therefore you can't really classify it as anything else other than what the damn paper says. So after a couple weeks, it'll only take a couple days, however far away you are from South Dakota. You mail all your stuff in with your title. I think it's like 4 pieces of paper. And then they'll call you. They'll call you on the phone and they'll be like, hey, I got all your information here. Now it's time for payment. First year payment is like $72, give or take. And then the second year payment after that is like $31 a year. Very basic. Once you pay them, they're going to create your plate. They're going to file all your stuff away, and then they're going to just send it to you. So what went down when they impounded your machine? Okay, so here in the state of Texas, you are not allowed to drive side-by-sides on the road. They just recently, end of last year, implemented like a off-highway plate that's not like a DMV plate. It's registered with like your tax office or something like that. Basically, that off-highway plate allows you to do like any road under 35 miles, under 35 miles an hour, within 2 miles of your house. So I was utilizing my registration like a fucking motorcycle. I swear I read that South Dakota was stopping the side-by-side stuff. There might be certain counties stopping it, because I'm not going to lie, I have between me, you, and the fence post guys, the 62 of you guys that are in here, I didn't register my machine in the same county as the information that I send all of you guys. And I did that for a reason. So I sent everybody to, I forget what county it is, but I sent everybody to one county, and then I actually go to a different county. So that way you guys don't freaking plug up the damn phones on me all the time. But I think it's probably because you guys have been overwhelming just one specific county. So that one county might not be doing it, because I do know that not all counties in South Dakota do it. those Batman looking things. So those are slingshots, and those are 3 wheels. So now if my Razor had 3 wheels, it would be a little bit different. I could probably classify it in Texas somehow. But there's people in Texas that actually have those machines too, and then they attach an adapter on the back that gives them 2 wheels in the back, so they have 4 wheels. No, I don't think I'm going to be going to Rednecks with Paychecks, unfortunately. My wife has hinted she wants me to go. But I like riding, man. I like riding. I don't want to stand around and... I mean, as much as I love people watching and stuff, I just don't want to stand around and get drunk for fucking 3 days. So, it only takes... Pennington County? Yeah, Pennington County is actually the county that I use. I forget what the county is for the information that I sent out. But yeah, it only takes about, after you make your payment, it'll take about a week or so, and then, or maybe about 10 days, give or take, and then you'll have your plates. And that's literally it. So anytime you guys see these like Dirt Legal and all those other companies that are trying to make money off y'all, that shit's ridiculous. Making an LLC in Montana, I can tell you right now, I made an LLC before, and I think it was like, I want to say it was like around like $150. So I don't know why people have to pay like $800 to $900 to do it that way. I think we're going to skip RWP and go to Mid-Americas the next weekend. Man, I really want to go to that place. It looks super fun. I saw the layout of it, and it looks like it's got a lot of different tracks and stuff. That'd be a freaking thrash weekend for sure. And they had like hill killing and stuff like that. I think that'd be cool spectator shit. Where's Stan? Stan is currently in the garage. Yeah, now we use Clay County. Let's see, I'm sitting here reading over you guys' questions here. And then, oh, wait a minute. The guy had talked to me about what happened when I got impounded. Okay, so when I got impounded, I was utilizing my machine as a motorcycle, right? So I went up to Gainesville to Outdoor Power Sports, and I bought some jets for a PW50. I actually had the PW50 in the bed of the Razor strapped down. And I drove up there initially, and I got pulled over when I left. So when I left, I was on the frontage road in Gainesville, like right at 82 there, and I was getting ready to get onto the highway. An officer, Trooper Rush Schuber, pulled me over and gave me a written warning. Said off-highway vehicles are not allowed on the interstate. I said, well, this one's registered as a motorcycle. I don't care. I'm not here to argue with you. So he gave me my paperwork, right? And then I backed up and freaking got onto the interstate, just like he told me not to. And I drove all the way from Gainesville back to Fort Worth, 75 miles an hour, right? 10 days later, I post online and I said, hey, everybody, all of my followers, if you guys want to follow me, use this sweet-ass Polaris app, and you could follow me on a map where I'm going, right? Because I have a ride command set up and all that stuff. And basically, you guys can track me, as I freaking make my way across the United States. Well, as I get up into Gainesville, going up 35 again, there's a sheriff sitting right there on the side of the road. Like, it's almost like he was waiting for me, because immediately he comes out and he starts following me, and this was like a 2-mile follow, like he followed me for a while. I was in the slow lane, he was in the fast lane, he was laying down or laying back a little bit. I turned on my blinker and I waited because it looked like he was going to work his way past me because my plates, So I waited, he didn't come past me, so I eased out in front of him. Turned off my blinker, I worked my way past the slow car that was in front of me, and then I merged back over again. It wasn't long after that, when he turned his lights on, then he worked his way in behind me, pulled me over, And by the time I was stopped, there was 3 sheriff squad cars there on the side of the road. So I had 2 individuals walk up to my car from different squad cars, and then I think a third one showed up there shortly after. And they walked up to the passenger side of the vehicle, conversing a little bit. And then Trooper Stanley came walking up and he said, "Excuse me, I'm so-and-so." So-and-so. Trooper Stanley with the, the CHP or whatever you want to call him. And basically he said, he asked me what my name was. And I said, "David Hine." And his next response was, "All right, sweet, you're under arrest. Get out of the vehicle." So, yeah, I was like, "Really? You serious?" So I got out of my vehicle and they put me in handcuffs, put me in the car. They put my machine on a wrecker and took me to jail. And that was November, I want to say 9th, November 9th, November 3rd, November 6th, something like that, 2019. I forget the exact date. I was in jail for 6 hours. And I had to pay $300 and some odd dollars in fines, or $400 in fines. I had to pay $200 to get my machine out. And I'm over $3,000 in attorney fees right now fighting this damn thing. But it's all about principle for me. I don't agree with the way it was handled, and the way that the judicial system is. I'm kind of on the short end of the stick as well, because basically here's the way it works. That officer can cite me for whatever the hell he wants to, right? So he cited me for having an OHV where not authorized, where you're not allowed to have, right? Then he also hit me with having an OHV on a road without a plate. Well, they already dropped the one without a plate because I had a plate. Now they're trying to get me a OHV where not allowed. Okay, well, we appealed it to a higher court, and I've been waiting. It's been almost a year now, and we still haven't had a trial. So I'm going to be in front of a full-blown jury, by the way. So I only have to convince one person. But here's the shitty part. In order to set a precedent, in order to change the law to protect me, right? I cannot actually get a verdict of not guilty. Does that make sense? So if I go to court and they find me not guilty, there is no way in hell that I will ever be able to get a precedent set. But not guilty helps me the most, right? Now, on the other hand, if I'm found guilty, then what I can do is I can appeal that to a higher court. Then I have to prove it again. And if I can prove it again and then be found innocent, then we can have a precedent set. See how that's freaking shitty? It's super shitty. You get stuck in this predicament, and it's like you either spend a lot of money for not a lot of reward, or you just freaking lose in general. Because let it be known, if I go in there and I'm found guilty, if they feel that that's the truth, then then what? Then can't drive the damn streets anymore, fellas. There was another individual that got pulled over 2 hours south of where I got my ticket. And he was stopped and given tickets for the same things. I think he got 3 of them. Once the DA saw the pictures of his registration, he dropped all the charges. This was within 3 days. Dropped all the charges. Now, my DA has already stated that he would have dropped both of the charges. But his boss wasn't letting him quit, because there's a guy down in Austin that works for the DPS department. Apparently, he's just really, really wants to make an example out of me, I suppose. So the one case got dropped, but the second one didn't. So now we're stuck in a position where we're just waiting in limbo, waiting to hear what's going to happen, or to have something get scheduled, because Lord knows I haven't heard a damn thing. Randy says, I got pulled over by a sheriff's deputy a block from my house. He chewed my ass like I was his juvenile delinquent stepkid. Yeah. Did he give you a ticket? And do you have a plate? Every county around us, you can ride if registered, only county roads. We want to ride in Indiana, Mississippi, which you can't avoid interstates. I'm not scared of interstates. A lot of people are scared of interstates. So here's the thing. When it comes to reciprocity, basically, like, you know, you're asking the next state to acknowledge your registration as being street legal. You're going to protest my court hearing. Clint, I love you. You're asking them to reciprocate your legal registration, okay? So, oh man, how am I trying to fucking explain this here? So when South Dakota says, hey, you can't drive the interstates, it's really mainly South Dakota, because if you look at the way the law is written, if it's registered as a motorcycle and it's an on-road motorcycle, and then it gets reciprocated as a legal on-road motorcycle to another state, that little statute in the frickin', that's not even actually a law in South Dakota, isn't going to be transferred with it. So I'm not scared of driving on the interstates. Just because I got hemmed up in Texas, in Gainesville of all places, and I've got a couple officers that are, you know, trying to kind of make an example out of me, that's, you know, whatever. That is what it is. What a lot of people don't understand is I've also made trips from Fort Worth all the way down to Houston and back, and I've drove 35 the entire way. I also drove Interstate 35 when I went all the way down to, I wouldn't say all the way down, but when I went down to Austin, I drove it as well for a while, and all the way back. And I parked right in front of the state capitol. I even fucking put a side-by-side on a trailer and hooked it up to my Turbo S, and I drove 120 miles each direction to River Run. Past so many cops, sheriffs, everybody. You know, it's all in what the officer is willing to fight your ass for in court. And that goes with any state. If a cop feels that he's in the right and you're in the wrong, he can cite you for whatever he wants. And then it's your job to fucking go into court and prove it. Okay? Now, if you get pulled over, and you get cited by a cop that says you can't have an OHV on the road, and your silly ass goes in there and says, I'm just going to pay my fine. And then you walk off and you tell all your friends, no, that's illegal. You can't do that. That's bullshit. That just means your little weak ass was too scared to go stand up for shit. Okay? A lot of people take these little people that can't represent themselves, people that don't know how to go get representation, and then basically they just fall into the system, kind of like where I'm at right now. If you don't have somebody, or, you know, have a little bit of knowledge on how to represent yourself, then you better go get a fucking attorney. Okay? If you ever want any chance of winning. And if you're just gonna fucking pay the damn fee, don't go out and tell all your damn friends that it's completely illegal. No, it doesn't mean it's completely illegal, because it was never proven in court. It just means that you ain't got no guts, and you're scared to put your money where your mouth is. Like I said, I've spent over $3,000 now on attorney fees. Yeah, it sucks. But the more that people do this shit, the less they're going to be able to fuck with you over and over again. Because if I get out of this, let it be known, I'm going to make it announced to absolutely everybody, and I'm going to tell everybody how to do it. Right? I think that's the way we should go about it. We should let everybody do it. In Oklahoma City, I've got a few friends that were pulled over multiple times and given tickets multiple times. Now their DA sent out correspondence telling them, hey, Stop fucking with this guy. Quit pulling him over. I'm not gonna pursue this. So if you guys really want to fuck with the cops, delete that. If you guys really want to like push it, go to your district attorney and talk to them and sit down with them and acknowledge the fact that, hey, reciprocity, I don't have to fucking play by your rules. If I'm in the state of fucking, let's say, Minnesota, for example. I'm in the state of Minnesota. I'm a Texas resident. I have South Dakota registration. I have Texas insurance. But when I go into Minnesota, I do not need to play by Minnesota's rules. Minnesota reciprocates the rules from South Dakota. That's basically how it works. So basically now, when I go into Minnesota, I don't need, this happens all the time. Somebody come up, yeah, well, I live in Minnesota. And in Minnesota, they don't look at those as a motorcycle. It really doesn't fucking matter what Minnesota looks at them as, because they're in the process of reciprocating the legality, the laws that come from South Dakota in itself. So when they come over to Minnesota, they only have to be legal where they're registered. As long as they follow the moving violations and stuff, they don't get any like moving violation, don't run stop signs and stuff like that. Hold on, my son's getting out of here. Give me 2 seconds. Good? Awesome. I'll have I guess we'll just get with you on the schedule. Okay, that's fine. I'll let Ashley know and we'll schedule stuff, okay? Thank you. All right, I got my son here. If you can get out of it, we can use your case as an example and they won't have a way to legally charge anyone else. Yeah, so it's really hard to get some states, some officers, I would say. I'm doing a live video right now, so it's hard to get officers to acknowledge it, because reciprocity's kind of, it's not like a law per se. It's more like, I don't know why that's playing. Can you guys still hear me? I'm gonna make sure that this is turned off so that way it doesn't happen. Can you guys still hear me? Oh yeah, the Texas thing would definitely help out our cause. And you can't really, so you guys wouldn't be able to use it as case law, because I don't know why, but I remember being told that you can't use it as case law for some silly reason. But if I get out of it, it's definitely gonna make people a lot more comfortable with doing it. When I came back from Las Vegas, I came back on the interstate the entire way home. See, it's not a matter of reciprocating with any specific state. Okay, that's, a lot of people kind of look at it like gun laws. Gun laws are a little different. They shouldn't be, but they are. It's a little bit different with the registration. So let's put it this way. Whoever that person was, let's say you drive a Chevy 2500 Silverado. That's what my truck is. So I have a 2500. So you got Texas off-road tags. Yeah, I mean, that's not going to be the same as what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like full-blown motorcycle tag on-road registration. So when it comes to your Silverado, right? You go out, you get in your truck, you live in Texas. You have Texas plates. Let's say you want to drive to the West Coast. Let's say you live in a county that doesn't have emissions. Let's say you have straight pipes. You have no catalytic converters. Let's say you have fucking 50-inch tires. Let's say your headlights are more than, 50 inches off the ground or whatever it may be, right? But, all just for shits and gigs, just because I'm trying to make this example as easy as understandable as possible. Let's say we're completely legal here in Texas, but if I was to take this machine and go to California and try to register it there, they would be like, no, you can't do that. Your headlights are too high. Your tires are too big. You need emissions compliance. Blah, 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 right? But if I'm just traveling, that's not the case. If you get into your vehicle, you know that you can drive anywhere in the United States. Anywhere. Even if you're in a place where you can have tint on your front windshield, if you go to another state, they can cite you for it, but it'll never hold up in court because you're only required to be legal where your machine is registered. If you guys ever get an opportunity, go look up the full faith and credit clause. It's in the Constitution. There's also a lot of documents out there that were written in the 80s and in the early 90s that talk about this, that talk about being able to circumnavigate the United States with your license. So it's called something like one record, one license, one system, or something like that. And basically what it means is that's what allows, it basically allows all of our states to communicate with each other and exchange information and exchange, the ability to issue tickets. So if I go to California, I can't run back to Texas and think I'm going to get out of paying that ticket. That ticket's still going to get to me. Make sense? Same thing goes for if a cop is in California and I got a Texas plate. If he goes into his computer and puts in my plate number, he's going to know exactly who I am, where I'm from, what my address is. Probably he'll have my phone number. That's basically kind of the systems that were set in place when all this shit originally took place, because each state needed to be able to register their vehicles. Okay, well, once you do that, you need to be able to let them circumnavigate and move around. I can't go get fucking 5 different registrations. You know what I mean? So reciprocity was kind of a thing. It had to be a thing. You have to be able to allow people to cross the state lines. So that gives us a gray area. So now we're in a super gray area, because it's like, okay, well, what do we go by? Do we go by what this state looks at it as? Or do we acknowledge the fact that they reciprocate those laws? Sometimes you'll talk to an officer and they'll be like, hey, we don't reciprocate with that state. It's like, what the fuck? You don't choose like the states that you reciprocate with. Unless you're talking about like specific programs when it comes to like businesses and stuff. But when it's personal use, no. You reciprocate the registration. You only got to be legal where your machine's registered. That's why I was able to drive through Oklahoma. That's why I was able to drive through New Mexico. Arizona's completely legal, so I didn't have any trouble there. Utah didn't have any trouble. I even drove all the way down the I-215 for, I think it was like 85 miles or something like that, or the 15. Drove down the 15 from Utah, like 80 miles down into Vegas. The driver's packed. That's, I think, yeah, it's something like that. It's like a, you know what I'm talking about. That's exactly what it is. Ever considered getting a Mahindra Roxor? This is why I'm tracking you. So, a Mahindra, I know that thing can be registered in South Dakota just the same. So, South Dakota does not procrastinate, or it doesn't matter what it's registered or titled as. They'll freaking register damn near anything. A Mahindra as well. You can even get the like an ATV. You can register an ATV the exact same way, and you can treat it the exact same way. Wouldn't that be awesome? Ride like a Banshee or something to fucking Canada?
What?
No, we're not going to Top Golf. I got my kid here. He's like, can we go to Top Golf, Dad? It's crazy. Craziness. Let's see. When it comes to the Minnesota trip, I really, really, really want to drive up and trailer my machine up, because I think, how much would it suck to try and drive up there and then have it break on the way or something like that? That would suck. I want to do like camping, like the way I want it to be. So I want to be like state parks in the morning, in the afternoon and stuff, and then like later on in the evenings, either we stop and we camp and we hang out and we have beers and kumbaya, or we can like stop at like one of the little Indian casinos if they're freaking open, and we can gamble and freaking try and win some money. We can do whatever the hell we want to do. But that's kind of like the trip I'm looking for. I really just want to explore the state and get the word out there that you can actually register your shit in South Dakota and drive it all around in Minnesota without any trouble. Let's see here. How many times have you been pulled over on a side-by-side? Okay, so I got stopped the first time in Oklahoma. That was the video. He let me go. I was so nervous during that one. That stop actually lasted like 11 or 12 minutes, but the video is only like 2 minutes long. A lot of that was me just sitting there drinking the Dr. Pepper. The second time I got stopped was Trooper Reshuber, and that was up in Gainesville. The third time I got stopped was Trooper Stanley. That was when I got arrested. And then I was stopped a fourth time in Oklahoma. A fourth time in Oklahoma, and the gentleman just pulled up behind me, and once I showed him my registration, showed him that it was a motorcycle, he was like, man, I learn something new every day. And he was super nice. He actually gave Madeline a little voucher to go to McDonald's and get an ice cream. So that was pretty cool. And then I got pulled over like 2 cities over after that in a little place called, what the hell was that place called? I can't remember what it was called. It was like the last little Boise City or something like that. Last little town in the panhandle of Oklahoma. I'll tell you about the rest here in a second. So that was like the little panhandle of Oklahoma. He basically walked up to the machine because he pulled over like 4 vehicles that drove illegally through a construction zone. I just happened to come out into the crowd afterwards, and I just kind of got pulled over with the group. He comes walking over, he's like, hey, you're not allowed to have these in town. Move it on. And I just pushed the gas and just kept going. I didn't even talk to him, so it didn't matter. The next time, this one was probably my favorite. So the next time I was driving back. I'm on my way back from Vegas. I've already gone through Arizona, New Mexico. I'm in Oklahoma. I'm past Oklahoma City. I'm making my way down through backcountry roads down towards Durant, Oklahoma, right? So what happened was people in Oklahoma don't know how to turn off their damn high beams, okay? Yes, bro, it's Dallas. I freaking, yeah, so Dallas, everybody, this guy right here, Dallas Yao, he's actually the guy who had to tow my fucking Razor to the damn chop shop in the first place. No, he was the guy who had to tow my machine away. So, I mean, it was actually pretty cool that somebody who followed the page actually was there. Oh man, that's so funny. Okay, so nobody knows how to turn off their high beams in Oklahoma, right? So I'm coming through the back roads, the back trails, and every time I came around a corner and there was a car coming, they had their high beams on. I would casually drive, and I'd wait, 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 and they would never turn them off. So I just gave up, and I started turning my damn light bars on. Dude, it's super funny. I still haven't even had my trial yet, Dallas. So I started turning my damn light bars on and hitting them with it. That really got him going. After about maybe a dozen times of doing this, I was getting really comfortable. Every time I came around a corner, my hand's on the switch. I'm ready. And that was a bad idea. Basically, I was coming around the corner, and this guy had a light bar himself on, and it was a big ass light bar, and he blinded the out of me, and I flipped everything on. Both my light bars, my ditch lights, my rear ditch lights, everything. If I had dome lights, I'd have turned them on too. And he immediately hit the shoulder, like, of the road. As I'm coming past, you guys know how loud my machine is, right? He hit the shoulder and he flipped the bitch as fast as he could. And as soon as I saw him turn around, I stood on that brake pedal so hard. My ass came out the seat. I was standing on the brake pedal that much. I hit the shoulder, slammed on my brakes, and I just stopped. I threw it in the park, and I sat there. The damn patrol officer comes steamrolling up, and he slow rolls right by my door. And I was just like this. And he just kept right on rolling. And guess what happened? Nothing happened. He kept driving. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. He obviously realized that he had his light bar on. And he obviously realized that I shined mine at him. Sorry, bro, you hit me with your light bars, I'm gonna hit you back. You know? And then once he realized my license plate, it's illuminated so bright. It's got like super bright white LEDs, right? So when you pull up on it, like you're not missing the plate. So I think he just probably felt stupid, and he just casually rolled past. So I got up and I started following him, and I was maybe just keeping about a 2 or 3 car distance the whole time. And then eventually, about 5 miles later, wait, you don't drink my Dr. This is my Dr. Pepper. You already had your Dr. Pepper.
I'm eating hot and spicy Cheetos.
Yeah, and you had McDonald's already, but this is my Dr. Pepper.
But I didn't get my honey mustard.
So, he slow rolled. I followed him for a few miles. Then he just casually flipped a U-turn and drove back the other way. What's up, Rick? How's it going, man? Oh, I don't know where Roll went, but I know I was talking to Roll earlier. Roll, Fearless MX. If you guys haven't been out there, try to go out there on one of these race weekends. I've been telling Roll, and I want to start peppering him. I want all you casual guys that have never raced before, I want you to put on your damn racing jackets, and I want you to get your imaginations out, and you're going to start getting your shit ready, because you guys seen what I did with my old ass piece of crap? I think everybody should go out there and do some leisurely ass racing, kind of like what I did, and at least get a taste of it. I'm not saying you have to go out to Texplex and spend thousands upon thousands of dollars and you know, like, dive into this sport or what have you. But I think there are so many people out there, especially that follow this page, that would benefit from being able to go out and do some racing like that. Oh, dude, it is so much fun. Gary, I had so much fun. I'm sure Texplex is a blast, but I think there was just something like raw and rugged about Fearless's track, at the fact that it was so loosely packed, you know, like there was lines that were created when we started racing, and it's just, man, and like the dust and all that, man, I don't even care. I had a damn good time. I had fun. It was simple. I pulled in, they put a little transponder on my machine, and we were off to the races. That was it. Yeah, I need to get chase lights, and I need to figure out why my damn brake lights don't work, because I don't have any brake lights on my Razor either. Well, I take it back. So I have running lights to where, like, they're just red, But when I push on the brakes on my older machine, they don't get brighter. I might have a blown fuse, maybe. I don't know. I really doubt it.
I'm so glad we got off the highway when we did.
Oh man, that's some traffic right there, brother. But I do want to entertain the idea of making a road trip. And this one would be from Oklahoma. But I want to try and get out east. I want to go out and check out all my boys out in Alabama, my boys in Indiana, my boys out in Tennessee, Georgia. I got so many people that follow this page that have like some freaking awesome ass parks to go ride at, and I haven't been to any of them yet. So I think I need to devise like a setup to where I can, go for a few days and be like self-sufficient. I need like a teardrop trailer or like a small trailer that I can bring like an extra set of tires, so that way I'm not having to off-road and bonsai with the same tires that I'm riding on the street with. I think it would probably be smart to do something like that. Like to have like basic tools, maybe to have the ability to like sleep in it or sleep on it or under it or whatever. You know what up, Joe? Hold on a second. All right, here we go. Fearless is fun and laid back racing. Texplex is NASCAR and Fearless is the small dirt track you have more fun at. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to get across as well. I think it was just very like basic and just kind of bare bones, like playing football out in the street, like playing touch football with your friends. You know what I'm saying? Like it just seemed really cool. I think that would be a good thing for a lot of individuals that aren't wanting to like do a full season and stuff of racing, Maybe they just want to go out every now and then. But to be able to win $100 or a couple $100, like have a little competition and some bragging rights, I think that's awesome. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of money to race NASCAR. Yeah, I know about all that. I think you gotta have a lot of money just to do side-by-side stuff in general. I got the machine set up. She's got a little bit of a different clutch setup now, Gary. So I think I don't think they shouldn't be able to pull on me as hard, or I don't think they should be able to pull on me at all, to be honest with you. Not at the next race. We'll see. We'll see how much. I think I'll be able to keep up with the YXZs and with this new setup. I was only pulling like 8,000 RPMs at wide open throttle when I was trying to keep up with Chad and those other cats. Yeah, you went home with 250. Yeah, well, I didn't come in first place, brother. I still got $100 though for coming in third. I was like, damn. Here's what I didn't understand. Chad didn't even finish the second race, but they still defaulted him as coming in third place. So he defaulted to second place. And I was like, wait a minute. Don't you have to finish both? I know those cars you were racing weren't stock. And you got the fast lap of the day. Oh, that's bad. That's like $50 or something, wasn't it? This thing screams now. I got me a set of 27-inch Bighorns. I'm going to go pick them up here in a couple days. I'm going to use those for like Fearless and stuff. And then I'll probably pick up a set of Hoosiers here eventually. Yeah, we will here in a second. So. Oh yeah, dude, the Lap King, I think that was probably one of the coolest ones. The fact that you could time yourself and stuff now. I would love to have something like that. I think that would be pretty neat. Man, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. Here, can you grab this garbage? Okay, grab all that real quick. I want to show you guys something. All you guys that have stayed through the whole broadcast. I'll show you guys what came in, because I think that was another thing we talked about, is we talked about new parts. I got some new parts today. So, over the past about year and a half, I've had quite a few companies reach out and ask me to review, install, check out, demo, sponsor, whatever. It's been quite a few companies that have helped us out over here at A1UTV. This past week, I was contacted by a gentleman by the name of Kenny Bell. He owns KB3UTV, and he does general maintenance and stuff at his shop, but he also builds drive shafts. So, if you guys haven't seen it, I have you guys like the blanket back there? I use that so that way I can, so it gets so hot in Texas, and I don't have any air conditioning here in the garage, so I put a blanket in front of the door, and then I use this big ass Portacool fan to push air conditioning into the garage, so that way I don't overheat in here. Okay, so Kenny Bell found out about me a while ago. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to see my carrier bearing video, that's the one that he saw me first. So the carrier bearing video basically talks about how the XP1000 drive shaft is set up incorrectly, in my opinion, and I was showing an example of what using a solid mounted carrier bearing would do to your application. I used the solid mounted Super ATV billet carrier bearing for quite a while, and I was trying to show everybody kind of like the play that it creates and whatnot, because your engine moves, and when your engine moves, the shaft needs to be able to change angles slightly. If you have a solid mounted carrier bearing, you're not gonna have that ability to change angles. That's why our stock machines use a pillow block to compensate. So, Kenny Bell watched that video, and as did quite a few other drive shaft manufacturers, and he knows where I'm coming from. So we looked over his setup, and we've been talking quite a bit, and yeah, we're going to be running Kenny Bell's... Somebody's calling me. We are going to be running Kenny Bell's drive shaft and carrier bearing on my machine. This here is the carrier bearing. I know it looks like a solid mounted carrier bearing. It's not. I'm going to teach you guys how this whole thing works and how this is different from other setups. I think you guys are going to like this. Another thing this comes with, this uses a different strap yoke. So this is the piece that actually bolts on to the output shaft of your transmission. This is a lot bigger than the stock one. So when you get an aftermarket shaft, you're looking for strength, right? Strength, aka bigger shaft, bigger bigger yokes, and just stronger components, right? So what the problem was is after they were building these big shafts, the strap yoke was having the bolts shear off. The bolts that right back there at the transmission, right? So he came up with his own strap yoke, and this actually accepts a larger U-joint. So this shaft that I have uses a larger U-joint than the stock shaft. Another thing to keep in mind is that this thing is balanced and phased. This thing does not get more perfect, okay? And we're talking dial indicators used and everything. I actually watched him spec this shaft out with a dial indicator, and we're talking like down to the tens of thousands. You know, he is spot on with his measurements. This guy's a machinist by trade, and you know, those guys know how to build shit, and they know how to keep things balanced and true. This shaft literally will not wobble sitting on the yoke ends like that. A long shaft like that, normally you would have some sort of doop, 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 you know, a little bit of wiggle or a little bit of wobble. On to the next key point. It doesn't use those stupid little lock pins that are on the inside of the yoke like the stock shaft does, okay?
another thing, the Zerks, they're accessible. They're on the outside of the yoke and not buried inside of the yoke. That's one of the things that frustrated me the most about our stock shafts, is the fact that the damn Zerks would fall out of the middle or something like that, and then you couldn't get them, you couldn't thread the things back in there. If you guys look at these yokes are a lot bigger than the stock ones. Give me 1 second here. Let's see if we can do a comparison. I've got a couple shafts over here we can use as comparison. So I'll get an aftermarket shaft here, and then I will get, let's see, there we go. Okay, so I've got an aftermarket Super ATV shaft that uses stock U-joints, and then I have a stock shaft that obviously uses stock joints. So we'll lay these out on the floor. Oh man, perfect. This is a good thing. So, okay. All right, here we go. All right, so we got 3 different shafts here, guys. Okay, so here on the right, this is a stock shaft. Then we got the Super ATV Bounty Series shaft. This is the KB3 shaft. Okay, so now if you look up here at these yoke ends, I'm trying to make this as easy to see as possible. So if you look up here at these yoke ends, the box was damaged at shipping, so it kind of chipped off some of the paint here. Just look at the size difference. And this is Super ATV's biggest shaft. You can see the size difference in the U-joint. Not to mention, all these are machined pieces. Look at the stock one. Check that out, guys. The sheer size difference is like not even comparable. Now, one thing that he does is, so when it comes to this shaft, he uses that carrier bearing and this strap yoke. This strap yoke, whoop, my phone. So this strap yoke will bolt on like this. Now, this makes for a nice, easy installation. So, I don't know if you guys can read this. I'll turn it around, sorry. So, this strap yoke uses a Spicer strap kit. Very basic. Okay. It's got your straps in it. These bolts are a lot stronger than the OEM ones. The setup's going to work freaking flawlessly. Another thing. While you guys may be like, man, when you clamp that down, it's just going to smash the isolators. It's going to be like a solid mount. Well, that's not the way that the setup works. So on your carrier bearing, there's actually a nut that's built into the chassis that's already there. Once you put this in here and put a little tension on it, you only put a little bit of tension. And then this nut, this nylock, actually acts as a jam nut behind the nut that's inside the machine. And it basically just turns this metal bolt into a post. So that way, it's not really clamped down as much as it is just supporting the bearing itself. Now, this carrier bearing has a nice, you can see the channel, the groove in there. Let's see if I, yeah, so you see this groove in here, and you see how the bearing's centered? My question was, wait a minute, what is it going to slide around? So Kenny talked with me, and the way that they machined this cap and the way that they machined all of this out is that it actually clamps down onto the bearing and holds it in place. This bearing can be found at any O'Reilly's, and it is a sealed bearing. Okay. Now, this one doesn't need to be lubricated or oiled, considering it's sealed. Now, the reason why it has that large channel in there for that, you know, that bearing could be mounted all the way to the back or all the way to the front is what happens is when you get Polaris parts that come out looking like this, do you see how that is straight and flat? Well, look at this. This is crooked. That just goes to show you that people aren't measuring and checking their work correctly. So when you go to this machine and you're like, hey, you've got a 1/4 inch difference on the front diff from my machine maybe to Joe Schmo's machine. And then in the back, you might have your chassis mounts might be an 1/8 of an inch forward instead of an 1/8 of an inch backwards. Well, then you might have the Polaris guy's fucking tape measure maybe not be the exact same as Kenny Bell's tape measure. Basically what I'm getting at is that you need variation. You need to have the ability to change shit around a little bit. And that groove is going to give you the ability to compensate for that. So once you get this thing lightly put in there, you're going to be able to move it forward or back and change the angle on it like so. But you're also going to be able to have a little bit more wiggle room with the fact that you're going to be able to move this bearing forward and back inside the actual housing itself. I think that's freaking awesome. I think it's a good way to utilize a solid style design while still utilizing a pillow block style of use, if that makes sense. Because this is going to still allow us the ability to move and shift when the motor moves, which is a good thing, less stress on parts and whatnot. And it's going to keep all the vibration out of your chassis. I have my BKTs on right now. Basically, I did this because I was trying to make sure that my BKTs fit without my bracket. They do. They hang out so freaking far. And they might rub just a smidge at full bump and full turn, but that's not a really big deal. Come fix your high lifter trans. I don't fix transmissions, brother. I just break them. On Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday of next week. I have an event I'm going to with a buddy of mine. He has like rented out like the whole Texplex park. And so that's going to be my first time going to Texplex, and it'll give me an ability to go and privately check out the park, check out the track, run this bad boy. There's going to be a couple racers and stuff out there doing promos and showing off and all that. And maybe we'll go out and get a little bit of practice, have a few drinks, party with some friends, and and then come home later that night. So I'll be putting the Hoosiers on for that. And if this live stream shit is something that you guys like, we can kind of do this in the future too. So this thing will have Hoosiers on it, 27s. When the time comes for Wednesday, and I'll keep you. Oh, it's on Thursday, not Wednesday. Okay, my bad. I don't even know what today is. It's Friday. Today's Friday. So, yeah, guys, we've been on here for a long time. An hour and 16 minutes. You guys are awesome. There's 61 of you guys still in here. I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you guys have any other questions to ask me, just shoot me a message, whatever. If you guys didn't get all of the, like, why I was arrested and all of that stuff, just float back through this video. I think it was, like, within the first 10 minutes I started talking about it. Will you come do my ball joints and brakes? I just don't want to. No, unfortunately not, Corey. I'm sorry. We're still friends, though. Another thing. Oh, last little bit. I already dropped off all the hats at the Bearded Stitch at my buddy Perry Mahaney's shop, so I'm just waiting to get them all back. They're getting embroidered. We got a few different colors, and I even got something for the girls out there. So if you women actually like hats, I got a couple styles for you guys as well. Yeah, I think that's it. We're going to get off here. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for everything. We'll see you guys soon.